Wow, very excited to be here today, presenting to us or bringing you into our farm site where we'll be talking and be teaching you what you need to know about starting a profitable grass cutter farm business anywhere in Nigeria, even from your backyard. Either you're a tenant, you are landlord of your home property, or whosoever you may be, either you're undergraduate, just whosoever you may be, how to start a profit, what you need to know starting a profitable grass cutter farm business from your backyard, as you can see where we are. Once again, welcome to Farm Sense Grass Cutter Base. My name is Ojudela Tonishi, and today's presentation, because we are prepared, we want to give you the best. I have with me
Okay, Oluwakayode.
is a friend, is a mentor, is a colleague, is a partner. And to make today's presentation memorable and compelling and also as much as educative as it will be, that is why we are here today. Grass cutter is we normally call it, some people call it cane rat, some people call it bush rat, whatever the name they call it, it depends. It is bush rat, and it is animal or meat that everybody want to have a taste of it. But however, it is not easily come by. You have to give assignment to hunter to get it for you, or you drive into the remotest part of the country, either here in Nigeria, you have to drive far to get grass cutter, to get it from hunter. However, we know that as time goes on, deforestation and climate change and many other things it has made all these animals to become an endangered species, whereby they are no longer easily come about in the bush, and that is what brings about domestication. The demand is very high, the request for it is very high. Then how can we preserve or also make business out of it, domesticating them in the bush? At this point, I believe that Mr. Kyle will have one or two contributions to put into what we need to know about grass cutter.
Thank you, Mr. Oludele. One of the key things to look at here is actually in order to avert extinction of this particular species of animals, it is really important to domesticate them in the house. And apart from domestication, it also allows our well-meaning Nigerian youths or African youths as a whole in total to be able to make a decent living for themselves. Like you can see behind us, and we are trying to project to you that this is what we do. And so far, we are doing well, and we hope to do better than the present stage in which we are. So grass cutter is a very good delicacy that should be available for every family in Nigeria. Another thing we can look into here is that it doesn't have any religious barrier. Like there are certain taboos in some animals. Some religions don't like pork, for instance, and we have some other animals too. Like in some countries, some people don't eat cattle or cow. But this particular one, if you are a Muslim, you are a Christian, you can eat grass cutter meat, and it's a very good delicacy that will supply protein to every home, which is actually an essential element needed for proper functioning of the body.
And so, like you have said, Muslim, Christian, men and women can come into grass cutter farm business. There's no limitation, there's no barrier, there's no restriction to who and who can do and cannot do it. However, having said this, the question is, what are the income potential of doing grass cutter farm business? The truth of the matter is this: grass cutter farm business is a 7 to 10 figure business. It depends on how big or how small you get started with it. Grass cutter has the potential to give you or to make you to bring in income of average of 7 figures to 10 figures annually. And when we're talking about 7 figures to 10 figures annually, we are talking about the range of 1 million naira to 10 million naira, 20 million naira, 50 million naira, even 100 million naira yearly. However, it depends on your capacity on how you get started with it. So that is among other things that you need to know before we go far in this presentation. Knowing the income potential of it is a business that you can engage you fully, that you can do it full timely or you can do it part time. However, the ball is in your court, and your capacity, full financial capacity, the space, availability of some other things that we'll be mentioning that will help you to make a decision on starting Grasscutter farm business. Now that we have looked at that, now I will give it to Mr. Olukayode, okay, to dive deep into what we need to consider starting Grasscutter farm business. I think what must I put in place, because you can't just start because you want to start. There are some things that must be in place. That, okay, if I want to start Grasscutter business, what and what I must look into, what and what I must put in place before I can see myself as someone that is qualified to start with a Grasscutter farm business. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You know, in every great or in every venture, agri venture, or even if it's a business enterprise, the first thing you need to look into is the availability of prospects or clients, availability of markets, and having be that as it may, since we are talking about Grasscutter, which is a value chain under agribusiness, the first thing is, like my colleague rightly said earlier, that Grasscutter is well sorted for. So generally in Nigeria, wherever you are able to start your farm, all you need to do is to take a walk around to know the location in which you will supply your animals to. Now, in setting up a Grasscutter farm, the first thing you need to take note of, like it was said earlier, is to know whether you are a tenant or a landlord. If you are a tenant, you need to also consider security. And if you are also a landlord, the owner of the property, security is also of paramount importance. So if you are a tenant, for instance, there is a different caging system that will be required to be installed for you, so that when you now move to your permanent site, you can carry along those cages. But if you are a landlord, you can actually go into a more permanent structure that does not need carrying here and there. So in setting up Grasscutter farm, you need caging, you need security in order to be sure your animals will not be stolen. And also you need financing. Financing is actually what will bring about the setup of buying of the materials for cage, buying of the animals, and logistics and miscellaneous on the farm. So with this, I think I've been able to make justice to some of the requirements needed in order to carry on Grasscutter farming. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you, sir. Much more, like you have said, I think I will add one or two things to it. Among other things, when like you have said, that security, financing, location, among other things that is so paramount again, important to the success of you setting up your Grasscutter farm business is availability of grasses. Because Grasscutter, 80% of food that you'll be giving to your Grasscutter, 80 to 90% of it, they are grasses. And that is what makes Grasscutter much lucrative, because feeding them costs you little or no money. You just locate, in as much as there is enough grass, the kind of grass that Grasscutter eat, you have to do your feasibility study to look around your location. Can I get this grass? Can I get it? Among other grass we are talking about, can I get elephant grass? Can I get elephant grass, napier grass, bamboo tree leaf, and many. And all these things, you can easily outsource it around your location. So you have to do your feasibility study, locating, okay, can I get this? Can I get this? There are some that you can outsource, there are some that you can get from market, like ugu stem or ugu leaf. We are looking at consider stock sourcing. You can't just come into this business without knowing where you are going to get your Grasscutter from. You want to start. There are people, there are existing farmers that are in this business that you have to collaborate with, let me put it that way, to source your animal from them especially to avoid some sorry story that may occur later in the future. Because you just enter into the market, you feel like shebi is grass cutter, and just go to anybody. You must look for trusted and proven grass cutter farmers that will give you the best breed. Because we have a lot of breed out there. We have long breed, we have short breed. However, that is by the way. So you have to look at the grasses, the breed stock sourcing. Where are you going to source it from? Are you going to source it from your state of residence, or you are going to source it from other states? And if that is the case, how will they take care of the logistic of bringing it from wherever you are sourcing it down to your location? And like he has said, you have to consider the housing type you want to use. You know, he has mentioned that if you are a tenant, there is a kind of housing that will be permitted you to use. Hence, imagine being a tenant and you want to do concrete housing. It as good as your landlord will query you that you want to collect my house from me. So there's a kind of housing method you have to consider. Is it wooden cage? Is it concrete, or is it iron? So any of the three will be in your status, as in your residential status, will determine the kind of housing method that we will recommend. If you're a tenant or if you're a landlord, that will depend. And among other things also, finances also will determine the kind of housing method that you have to consider. So these are the things that we have to put in place, talking about housing, breed stock, grasses, security, and many other things. So when you can be able to answer all these questions in affirmative that I can get all these things, we can now move to the next stage, talking about grass cutter health challenges. We all know if you are raising livestock, they all have their own health challenges. The truth must be told that there won't be any challenge. There will be challenges. But when you know the challenges, you know how to manage it and how to combat it ahead of time, so it will not be sudden. So I will hand over to Mr. Kayode. Okay, he will briefly say one or two things about health challenges that is common to grass cutter farm business. And knowing this will go a long way to help you to prepare to set up for success. Over to you, sir.
Part of what could be regarded as a challenge for grass cutter is they are susceptible to cold. And like you can see, where we are now is an enclosure that is airtight, and there is a way we actually heat it up in order to make the environment suitable for them. During cold seasons, no matter how airtight it is required that we use charcoal on a coal pot to actually give them a level of warmth. If you are able to give them a good level of warmth, this will prevent snuffles. Snuffles is actually them sneezing, and also the sneezing can also take place as a result of them inhaling mash feed. That's why it's not advisable to give grass cutter mash feed. If you want to give them feed to complement the feeding aspect, to complement the grasses, what you need to do is you pelletize the compounded ration so that it will not result into snuffle for them. Another challenge is stooling, which is also associated to feeding also. Basically, all these challenges comes from feeding. If you don't feed well, there are feeding mechanisms. If you overfeed them certain kinds of grasses, they start stooling, and there is a way we attack or take charge of that. But by and large, the first thing to do to avert your animals falling sick, like it's always said, prevention is always better than cure, is to give them good feeding routine. When you give a good feeding routine, your animals will do well. So that way, from whatever grass you give them, stooling will not occur. And when the environment is clean and neat, they won't come down to any disease. Any disease is not going to affect them. Now, the best strategy I tell prospects or farmers who are into grass cutter on how to handle the cure or maintenance of their health is to actually use organic formulas. organic formulas like usage of ginger, garlic, and turmeric. And this has actually helped us very well. And I hope with this I've been able to make justice to the health challenges.
So we have to take good care of our animals. Don't just say, "Shebi they are animal." So if you treat them anyhow, they will give you anyhow result. In fact, you will see the resultant effect of it. They will be sick. And when they are sick, you see, it's better not to be sick, because the time that they're supposed to go, you'll be treating this and this. So the productivities and their performance will diminish. So cleanliness is next to godliness. And not only that, let me say cleanliness is next to high performance and productivities in your farm. So having said this, like what I bring out of this, that number one challenge, major challenge, is cold. And if that one can be taken care of, any other thing that may bring challenge is the kind of feeding mechanism, taking care of the kind of food you are giving them. Check if there's no worm. The breeder from the grasses is not a dusty, especially all these pelletized or this chicken feed of a thing that can bring a dust. So we have to, by all means, avoid all this. So having said this, the next thing we are going to be talking about, we are going to look at productivities and reproduction in Grasscutter. At this point, we are looking at, okay, because productivities and reproduction is what make you profitable as a farmer. If you are raising your animal after 1 year and there's no productivities and there's no production, then business will close, because you are not raising Grasscutter as a pet. Even people that are raising them as a pet, there's a level of expectation that, okay, they are going, they are able to reproduce when you have not castrated the female or whatever. Yeah. So we are at this point now, because your question is that, okay, if I start this Grasscutter farm business now, where do I go to get profit from? Your profit will come from productivity and reproduction system of Grasscutter. Once again, I will hand over to Mr. Oke Oluwakayode, where will be telling us, among other things, what is the maturity age of a Grasscutter before they mature for mating and pregnancy, and after the pregnancy, what is the gestation period for Grasscutter to carry pregnancy, and apart from that, what is the possibility, how many baby can a Grasscutter litter at a time?
Grasscutters get matured from 6 months old. Right from the very first day a Grasscutter kindles her cutlings, it only takes 6 months, and usually we advise the male to be a month or 2 months older than the female. So at 6 months, the females are already mature enough for production or crossing, while the male, you can make the male a month older. That makes it 7 months or 8 months or 9 months, depending on the available male on ground. And when you talk about their gestation period, the gestation period takes 5 months. 5 months. In this particular regard, there are a lot of prospects or clients who came to the farm and they are like, 5 months is a whole lot of time, that how will they now endure that long? And I use a particular analogy. That's for those who are breeding cow. If you get a female calf, that female calf will not give birth for the next 3 years.
Wow.
You keep feeding and feeding and feeding. The earliest you could get is probably 2 years before the female calf will even get pregnant, mature for pregnancy. Then the cow will now take another 9 months, between 9 and 12 months before it gives birth.
The gestation period.
Gestation period, exactly. So that's a whole lot of years and months, almost 4 years, before one single cow
can begin to produce and reproduce for you. And considering the amount of money you have invested into feeding, caring, and all that.
Exactly. But you haven't, be that as it may, you discover that we still have a lot of farmers still doing cattle because it's lucrative and there are ways around it. So for a Grasscutter, 6 months is not long. Other many livestock too takes about 6 months, like rabbits takes 6 months too before they mature. The only difference between rabbit and Grasscutter is that the gestation for rabbit is just 30 to 35 days, while Grasscutter is 5 months. Now, after that 5 months of carrying the pregnancy, a grass cutter, from our experience on the farm, kindles or gives birth to an average of between 2 to 10 to 12 cutlings. Now, there are a lot of factors associated to why the number of cutlings will grow more higher. It could be associated also to the feeding pattern. If they eat balanced diet, then you are sure of getting a good litter number. Then from our experience in the farm, a grass cutter who is a first timer gives us between 2 and 5. But in some occasions or rare occasions, we have 7, 8, and 9. Then the good side of grass cutter is that the older they become, the better it is for you to have a lot, exactly, to have a lot of cutlings. Their cutling sizes or number per kindle increases. So, and there is one law I usually tell people here. There is a law I call exponential growth law. In the grass cutter farming, for instance, if you have 5 females, or you have you're starting with a female, a female, for instance, a female gives birth to, let's say, let's use the average law of, let's say she gives birth to 5, and out of the 5 you have 2 females and 3 males. Then the 2 females added to their mother, making 3. Then the 3 of them give birth to 5, 5, 5 again, and each of the 5 they give birth to, that's 15, Abby. From the 15, let's say we have an average of, let's say, even 9 females. 9 plus the 3, we're talking of 12. From the 12, they give birth to 5, 5. Then 5, 5. That's average. Sometimes
this can happen within the. We are talking about this can happen in the under 1.5 years.
Exactly.
That is, and the exponentiation will
continue to multiply.
And this can happen within a time frame of 1 year to 2 years.
Exactly. So, like, if you start with 5 colonies, 10 colonies, 20 colonies, 15 colonies, you can do a rough estimate. 10 colony is going to give you 40 females. So when you multiply, let's say 40 females give you a total of 5 each times
about 200.
That's about 200 cutlings. That's massive, and this is capable of generating 6 to 7 figures for you in Nigeria in this current dispensation. For our Nigerian youths, there is a popular saying that whatever the mind can conceive, that it can achieve.
Yes.
It's actually possible to be a millionaire in the agri-business sector, and the way to it is grass cutter breeding.
If you start your farm with grower, let's say the female is 3 months,
4 months.
Okay, let's say 4 months, and the male is 5 months. That means that in the next 2 months, the female will be ready for maturity for mating.
Yes.
It's ready to mate with a female grass cutter and be ready for pregnancy. And that means that in the next 2 months also, the male also will be 7 months. So that means that if you buy a grower today, you stock your farm with a grower today, that means that today we are looking at we are in the month of September. By November,
yes.
So the grower you buy today, the 2 of them should be ready for mating. So now, by end of November, or let's say by end of December, you should confirm pregnancy among the female. So that means that in the next 7 months time, between September now and next year April, that means that roughly we are looking at 7 to 8 months time. Then you will be having reproduction and productivity in your farm from the first set of animal. And now, knowing full well that this one now, they are not going to wait for another maturity age again. They already started giving birth.
Exactly.
So after 2 months, or roughly after 3 months, you should have confirmed that the female also, the initial mother, they are pregnant again. So that means that in the next after April, let's say by December of the next year, they must give birth again. So by the time they are giving birth, as a matter of fact, the first offspring they must have been pregnant.
Exactly.
So when you are starting your grass cutter farm business, what I will advise is that just give yourself a time frame of 2 years. There are some terms in the grass cutter we call baby grass cutter, we call them cutlings. That is from age 1 day to probably, let's say, 1 month. You have to be sure that is this male older than this. Anything short of it, it will affect productivity and reproduction and even multiplication in your farm.
All right. There is an aspect I want us to take a look at, and that is the area of inbreeding, which is not actually good.
That's very important. We can't avoid not to talk about it.
Yes. Inbreeding in grass cutter can actually wipe out a lot of colonies. It could wipe out hundreds of your grass cutter. Yes. So you need to be careful when you are doing your selection of animals to cross themselves. Now, what inbreeding simply means is you should not allow animals from the same parent to cross themselves.
Cross each other.
What I mean by that in a layman's way, let me break it down this way. Like, this is a hut here. There is a female here that kindled 6 cutlings. And inside the 6 cutlings, we have 4 females and 1 male. Now, after 6 months of maturity, or you now leave them to up to 7 months, they are all together in a hut. You now allow the male in the middle of these females here from this mother to cross all the 4 females. Their offspring, the cutlings, will die. There are a lot of there are a lot of factors related to that, and even if they survive, they will be susceptible to diseases. They won't have a very strong immune system that can help them to break overcome a small attack by many diseases. Let me put it that way. So what you need to do to avert inbreeding is you can number the hutches, like we use a charcoal to actually, or a marker to mark the walls of their houses.
Like we have to label
each of the houses. Family. Yes, or as a farmer, from time to time, you go to other farmers that are reputable, that are of the standard you want to have on your farm, and source for males from them. So when you bring in those males, you categorize your females to depending on what you intend to achieve anyway. Then you introduce those males you have outsourced to cross the females you have. Now the question is, what will you do with the males that are left in the farm? So what you do with the males is you need to create space for them and breed them to a level whereby they can be mature for either meat or sold to other prospects or farmers as males to cross their own animals too. So Grasscutter is really lovely and they are wonderful. In fact, I don't know if the background has been able to pick certain sound of the way they eat. They are teething. They make a creaking sound like and they use their 2 forehands to hold the food. You know, like you can see my phone, to hold the food and eat. They are a beauty to behold. Yes. And I hope you will join us and come on board. As it stands, Nigeria has a long way to go when it comes to breeding of grasscutters. There are certain African countries doing far more better than us. But trust Nigerians, if we decide to do something, we will do it better than them. And we hope you also join us so that we can carry on the mantle for the next generation in the agribusiness space. Basically, what we are looking at is we want to encourage our fellow countrymen, Nigerians, and Africa as a whole to begin to take a look at the agri value chain, which cuts across not just grasscutter, but other aspects of agriculture. That's the way to actually move out of this present predicament in which Nigeria is in.
Of all you have been saying, why should I start grasscutter farming? Maybe you have phobia or fear of something. Among other things, that why you need to start grasscutter farming, that it is cheap and easy to manage. You don't need to think about the bag of feed is almost finished. No, you don't buy feed for grasscutter. 90% of their food is grasses, and they are free out there. That you can cut it free. The only thing that will cost you that take your time, maybe you take a bike to carry it, to move yourself. Beyond that, feeding grasscutter, as a matter of fact, it's 100%, let me say 100% free, except for you have to supplement their food. Maybe you are buying dry corn, buying cucumber, buying watermelon, buying ugu stem from in fact, as a matter of, you may not even buy ugu stem because it's a waste to people that those market women. You are helping them to dispose it.
Exactly.
Even watermelon, just mention some other supplement. They are very low cost kind of some supplementary food that make Grasscutter farm business cheaper to manage. So among other things, that they are cheap to feed. That's number one thing. That's number one thing that I see. So, and again, number two is that you can decide to raise it for consumption. That is, you are also producing source of proteins in the market. Like it's a good source of protein. In fact, it's one of the best meats recommended for everybody, and also it doesn't generate foul odor. Probably you may be a tenant, you say, the odor, my landlord will not. In fact, as a matter of fact, do you know that if you have a 2-bedroom flat or a 3-bedroom flat and one of the room is lying fallow, there's nothing there, you can put your cage here and nobody will know that you are raising grasscutters. And that's why I call them quiet animal with silent money making, because they are very silent in managing and silent money machine. Then again, it is cheaper to get started. I say you can start with one colony and then they require no big space. Of course, Rome is not built in one day. We believe that this video, it cannot tell you the details of how to really get started with Grasscutter farm business, because Grasscutter farm business, number one, you need a mentor. And among other than the reason why you need a mentor, so that you not fall victim or prey of scammers or people that are not even practicing what is not. So that is why this presentation, we are trying to use it as a way to invite you to our physical, live, practical Grasscutter farming training that will be holding from next month, October, in the city of Ibadan. We want to use this opportunity to invite you to opt in for this training. This time we are going to be in live. You see me one-on-one, you see Mr. Kayode one-on-one, you ask questions. In fact, you have access to any of these animals. There we teach you more detail about how to get started from the scratch and project for better future in Grasscutter. You may be a retiree. You may be a civil servant that is planning for retirement. You may be an undergraduate that you have passion for farming. Grasscutter is a good way to get started. So you will do well to click on the link below to log into the website where we are going to see the detail about how to register for any of our training, physical training, how you can enroll and be part of it. This one we are talking about on ground training. You will be there, we'll be teaching you. In fact, as a matter of fact, among the other sessions, we will bring you down to the farm here, whereby you will have interaction. You see how it look like. But among other things, you see the detail about what the training is going to offer, how to register, and the location. Just click on the link below to log in to the website and register, so that you'll be contacted immediately after the registration. We are going to give you some offer to people that want to start immediately before the year runs out. See, it's the best time to get started. What you refuse to do like yesterday, today is the best time for you to start it.
Exactly.
As a retiree, as an existing civil servant that is planning for retirement, and you are beginning to think about what can I do, you need to do something that will be bringing money for you, that will keep you active after your retirement. You are civil, you are a graduate that you are looking at, you have passion for farming. Come for Grasscutter farming business and let us train you, and also for success and profitability. Once again, I want to appreciate you for staying glued to watch this video to this end. Don't forget, click on the link below to log in to detail about how to register for our upcoming training series that will be starting from October 2024 down to the year 2025 and beyond. I want to appreciate you, Mr. Kayode. for the privilege to
Thank you,
share
sir.
with us the wealth of your knowledge in this lucrative agri business, the livestock, talking about Grasscutter farm business and how to set up and for your wealth of experience, discussion, input, and the like. We want to appreciate you.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir.
you.
Thank
And
you.
I believe that next time when we come around, you'll be available for us to share your experience once again.
My God,
Further.
please.
Once again, it has been the voice of Oludele Atumishi since the presentation began, and I want to appreciate you that you have enjoyed every piece, every minute and seconds of this presentation.